Hello, I'm Yan Ling.
Hi everyone, I'm Jayce.
And welcome to the Freelance Creative Exchange, where every week we talk about the freelance economy or the gig economy.
And today we're very happy to have invited Sarah to join us today. So Sarah is actually what we call a character designer and a visual development artist. Maybe I'll let Sarah share a bit more about what she does with regards to her character designing traits.
So hi, my name is Sarah, and I do literally what she said. I do character design for a living. And as you can see, I've got some of my little characters right here.
And those are your original ones.
Those are my
right?
original ones. Actually, this gun is the original colorway. So that's the first one I came up with when I
Okay.
started this series. They're called Darumao, which is meant to be a play on words on a Daruma and the cat Mao. Yeah. So I'm very fond of them. I'm still working on them. And they are like my precious babies. So if you ever have one, please take care of them for me.
So for these are your passion project?
Yes, that's my passion project.
And you sell them as well.
And I sell them on my online store, yes.
Oh,
in
yes.
So I do have limited releases, so it is best to keep an eye on my website, perhaps, if you're looking to get one for yourself.
So these are what you do on like your own time.
Yes, that's my own time stuff.
Ooh, what are your, like, how do you earn a living?
Oh,
Basically?
I try to earn a living with my own time stuff, of course, but failing which, there's always the commercial work, which is the stuff
Right.
on this side. When I used to work at a toy company, and we used to play with like Disney licenses, DreamWorks, Nickelodeon. So this is the stuff that survived when I was working with them. So of course we've got Mickey here.
Is this part of what a character designer does?
For me specifically, this is what I've chosen to do. As a character designer, you could always go into film, animation, comics. I've chosen to go more into product and merchandise.
Is there a reason why you chose this route?
I like to see my designs become physical objects. I like seeing people pay money for my objects. It is quite satisfying to see that happen. It is very satisfying, especially when people come up to say, I really love that bag you did. I really love the design. Will you be making more? Or is there more in the series? I want to collect all of them. It's really nice to hear this from people.
So in terms of character design, this being a what do you call it? A title, you know, is it very niche for people to
gosh.
go into merchandising?
I would say
products?
that in particular in Singapore, maybe it's quite niche. I mean, I have spoken to fellow friends outside in other countries where they do similar kinds of work. And I would say that the ones who do on their own, there are quite a few who do this on their own, but the ones who do this commercially, there aren't that many of them. I mean, Disney will have its own handful in charge of merchandise for their stuff, and DreamWorks and Warner Brothers, but there aren't that many of them running around.
Oh, okay.
So how do you start out in this freelancing, in this character design, and this visual development space?
Oh, you start off with, let's see, I suppose going to school is a good start. Getting your foundation, getting your art foundation down, learning how to draw, learning all your basics and all of that. And after that, it's really figuring out what you want to do, because I did not decide to be, but okay, I did want to become a character designer when I started out, but I had no idea how to become a character designer,
Yeah.
because there is no true path to becoming a character designer. There are no actual courses for
Right,
this. There's no, I don't think there's a degree for character design. I don't think
Not
that exists. So
specific.
it's
Yeah,
a
I
bit
think,
too
yeah.
niche for that sort of thing. So I started out with animation in Nanyang Poly.
Yeah.
And I really like animation, but I'm really no good at animation, so never mind. We shall not talk about that. Then I tried illustration, I tried doing game art, I tried doing concept art, and along the way you get better and better and you find out what you're actually good at and what you want to be doing. And I realized, okay, so I really kind of want to do characters still. And I'm just going to keep doing this until I hit something.
Right.
Mm.
So sometimes hitting something means somebody sees your work online and says, hey, I really like your stuff. Can you do this, this, this? And I go, sure, let me look at the brief. Oh, I can do this, this, this. And then, then slowly as you build your portfolio, your Behance and your portfolio website and everything, people start seeing that you've got a track record of doing this kind of stuff. Yeah. Oh, suddenly you're a character designer. You had no idea how it happened, but now you're a character designer.
Yeah, so was that how it happened?
Yes,
to
that's
you
how it
then?
happened to me. I fell into it. I kind of fell into it. Same with toys. I never actually went into toys thinking, I want to be a toy designer when I grow up. No. It was something more like a friend looked at my work and said, you should really consider doing toys because your designs look really toyable. I'm not even sure that's a real word, but he said,
Apparently,
right.
some-
So he said, I think your stuff would look really good as toys. So I said, maybe I'll give it a shot because I've got nothing to lose now anyway. So I tried and I made my first toy. He's not here for some reason, but his name is Noodles the Panda. And it was my first attempt at making a toy. And I would say it did okay, considering that I was a complete noob to the industry and I had never done this before. I think I sold more than half of that particular run, which I thought, that's not too bad.
Yeah.
We can work with this.
So what's the
Yeah.
process too? I mean, you mentioned that you wasn't sure, right?
Okay.
So how do you know that, where do I find the distribution outlet? Who do I work with to make me the toy?
For my first toy, what happened was that I'm friends with Mighty Jacks.
Okay.
And they do
Mighty
toys.
Jacks.
So Jackson Owl. So
Also from
because he was from NYP and he
Yeah.
happens to be my junior actually. So I spoke to him quite early on and said, hey man, I want to do toys. Can we discuss this? Can you help me out? And he worked out a deal and I gave them all my drawings and they got a 3D sculptor to do all the sculpts for me. And I would go through them and say, okay, this works, this doesn't work. Then they did a 3D print. And the moment I saw the 3D print, I was like, that's it. I know I want to do this because it's just, seeing your own drawing come to life as a 3D item is just really empowering.
Right.
And then, so we went through the Pantone colors and packaging design. And when I finally got the actual product in my hand, it was really one of those moments of, I think I kind of really want to do this. I mean, this was an expensive venture, but I kind of really want to do this
Right.
anyway because
Right.
it felt really fulfilling.
So how many pieces do you have to order?
That particular one, 300 pieces.
Oh, okay.
That's not many actually.
It's not
for-
many, but you'd be surprised how hard it is to sell 300 pieces if nobody knows who you are.
Yeah. Okay.
So how do you
That
get
is
around
true.
this? So how do you
Oh,
get
okay.
around
So
this
literally exposure, the dreaded word exposure. A lot of social media, a lot of Facebook, a lot of Instagram. Toy blogs
yeah.
are really vital. You got to help each other. So, you let them know about your products, they help promote you, and if you can throw them some donations your way, it's good to do so. And of course, showing up at toy conventions is always good.
Okay.
Because the people want to know who you are as an artist.
Yeah.
So it's not just the toy. I mean, the toy is great, but who is the person behind the toy? They would normally want to meet the maker.
Right.
Okay.
And how do you decide on the price point then?
Oh, well, price point is usually based on manufacturing cost.
Okay.
And then I just do some
just-
math based on that and have to think of some way for me to gain some kind of profit after all this is said and done.
Yeah, all your marketing.
Yeah, exactly. So
let's.
let's just say that the numbers look good, but my actual take home, that's a completely different story.
But so, how long was it since the start of your career to you actually coming up with your very first
Oh gosh.
character
Okay, so I
product?
got out of school in maybe 2008. Oh gosh, that was a while ago. And my first toy, I think, I think my first toy was in 20. Hang on, which year was that? Was it 2012? No, not 2012. 2014 maybe.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so yeah, not that
14,
far in.
2015.
So
yeah.
with that amount of, do you think having worked before coming out with your own characters made a difference?
Oh yes, it made so much of a
Really?
difference. You kind of need to work for other people first to get a hang of how businesses work in the first place. I mean, hopefully you work for a good boss who knows what they're doing so you can learn something. Otherwise, you're left learning what not to do, which is also important,
Yeah.
mind you, to learn
that's
not what
right.
not to do.
Very important.
So, but I would say it's good to, especially if you want to freelance, never mind the toys part, if you want to freelance, you should work for other people first
Yeah.
so that you have a good idea of what it means dealing with clients, deadlines, working with people, working with unpleasant people, before you go and jump the whole thing and say, I don't want to work with people anymore, I want to freelance. Because I've tried jumping and going to freelance when I wasn't ready. Of course, you don't know that you're not ready, right? But you got to
you have to
try.
it first.
So I tried and I realized, no, I'm not ready.
How, in what sense though? How did you know?
No clients. It's very simple. That's a very basic way to see it. No
Okay.
clients, not enough income. It's just not working out. And then you realize, not enough experience got to go find work again and pick up more contacts.
How long does that take you to realize that, now is the time that I
You
should
get
go
better
back
at
to
figuring this out as you get older. This is a thing that comes with age. When I was younger, I thought, you can do anything. I can do this. I'm going to freelance.
survive
Whoops,
from
I can't do this. But as I got older, of course, the realization came better when I started. Well, I didn't start with toys. I started with STGCC, where I had my little tables there and I sold drawings and illustrations and stickers. And that's a pretty good way to gauge people's interest, whether they like your work in the first place. I mean, it's one thing for a person to like on Facebook. It's another thing for a person to throw money at you.
Yeah.
Throwing money is a great confirmation. Okay, it lets you know, people are really willing to invest in your work and
that's
invest in you as an artist. So the moment that happened, I realized, okay, we've got a start here. It's not a good big start, but it's a start. We've got to build from here. So I started building until I wanted to go into the whole toy thing. And I went into the whole toy thing. It's not like the whole toy thing did really well for me. I wasn't exactly earning great money either. And I had to go back and find full-time work again.
Okay.
But where I found full-time work was with a toy company, which was a great place to learn even more about my chosen profession.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, that company didn't do so well. And I went off to find my own stuff. So I'm back here doing toys again. But now I'm freelancing. And so far it's been working okay. Let's hope it stays there. I don't have to go back and find another full-time job.
So would you say that the market is still very niche, especially for toy designers? I mean, where do you reach out to your potential customers or audiences who will pay you to buy your products?
Well, let's see. If I'm looking for fans, I need to travel out. So conventions, Facebook interest groups, I'm sure. Social Instagram is really great for this. There's so many collectors on Instagram.
Yeah.
But commercially, that's a little bit trickier because that would mean I need to reach out to big companies like Disney and DreamWorks and Warner Brothers and basically companies that have good licensing rights and good characters for you to play with.
Right.
Like Hasbro has My Little Pony and all these are fun things, of course, to play with, and they can afford to pay me. So that's another great part.
That's a very important thing.
That's a very
as
important
well.
thing, yes.
So in your last 10 years, between full-time freelancing, so what is the one thing that you actually realized that will actually help you make more money?
Versatility. I think versatility is important for this kind of work because for me, versatility is important because I get bored. If I stick to any one particular look for too long, I get really bored. So giving me a variety of projects helps keep me going.
Yeah.
And versatility here also important because let's say you've got projects across Nickelodeon, Sanrio, and Disney. These three have very different styles.
Yeah.
You need to be able to match up all of them at the same time because if you've got projects running all at the same time, you better be able to match all of them at all the same time. You don't really have time to go, can you give me some time to learn the styles? Like, no, you kind of have to learn right now, on the go, on the spot. So, that part's important. The ability to keep up with that's important.
That's true. That one I also believe it's very important. Not only maybe as a character designer, across
the board
being
in general.
creative,
Yes.
especially if you're working for clients.
Being able to adapt is important.
Yeah.
But also learning to recognize if you can't pull it off is also important. What you don't want to do is overpromise either.
That's true.
You gotta learn how to recognize, no, actually I'm out of my depth here. I need to pull back. I'm so sorry, but I actually can't do this. You gotta be honest with them too about
Has
this.
it ever happened?
So far, no. Thankfully, not with character design. Maybe with other design related work. Because I'm not very good with, like, say, brochure design. And I'm like, they give me some of this stuff to look at, and I'm like, oh no, thank you.
So there is.
There is stuff, of course, that I'm not very good at, or stuff that I don't really enjoy doing. So I will look at it, and if I can still pull it off, I will attempt to pull it off.
Yeah.
But something that's really beyond me, I'm like, you should find someone else who's actually really good at this, and that's not me. Sorry.
Yeah.
So how often do you have to turn away jobs like this? Does it come
Actually,
by?
because of what I do now, because of my portfolio, I hardly get clients who ask about this now, thankfully. So my clients are much more streamlined. When they come to me, they have seen basically the work already, and you go, we've seen your work on here. We'd like you to do this and this. And I'm like, okay, that makes sense. Very good. Let's talk more.
So I'm curious, what kind of clients come to you?
Let's see. Well, other than the big clients, I do get clients where I work with mascot design.
Okay.
I do get clients that want to ask about paper toy design.
Paper toy.
Yeah, paper toys. So I should have brought those. I didn't bring those, but yeah. Because the easiest way to prototype at home is through paper.
Right.
Yeah, because you just cut and fold until you figure it out, and you just keep prototyping till you get the actual design that you want. Then you can draw it out in Photoshop and add colors and all that. Yay, paper toy! It's like the fastest, cheapest toy you can design for yourself. And I also did, in a way, start out with paper toys because they're easy to prototype. They're so easy to prototype, and there are many examples online that you can use as reference to figure out. Let's say there's a shape you want to do, but you're not quite sure how it works. You can find something online similar, and then you engineer it yourself to make it work for you. And then you just color it in, and there you go. That's your toy.
Okay. I never really thought of paper as toys.
No. It's the poor person's toy, actually.
But when you're younger, don't you play with paper dolls?
Yeah, I know,
Wasn't
but it
those
never really
toys
clicked with
paper?
But that's like a 2D. That's a 2D.
It's 2D.
Yeah,
No.
2D,
The idea with
yeah.
the paper toy is to make a 3D object that
yeah,
you can
correct.
play with and all that.
Japanese origami kind of concept.
Yeah.
That's
But
right.
now it's quite popular, especially those who use paper to build, like the London Big Claw. You know,
Oh,
things
yeah.
Oh,
like
yes,
that.
yes,
Yeah,
yes,
so
yes.
They actually, help you to. I mean, it's supposed to help you to, ignite your creativity.
Is that something that you would do though? I don't think that's
No.
architecture.
That's a bit.
That is not so-
much
not
for
so
the
much
paper
of a
toy
toy.
range because most of the because I like to collect the books that have templates for these things. So most of them are usually monsters or aliens or fantasy creatures.
even though there were books.
You have to find it's only if you're interested you would know that they exist.
But can you find it in Singapore, or you actually have to find it on Amazon? or
Actually, if I'm
something?
not wrong, I cannot remember how long ago this was. Whether this book I got it when Borders was still around. You see, it was that long ago. It's possible it was that long ago. But
Just
I'm
review your age.
Oh no! But yeah, I've never used any of the templates because they're too precious to me. I just use them as a guide to understand. Oh, so for this kind of shape, I should use this kind of similar pattern. But I have to modify it to make it mine.
Yeah. So it seems like actually it's very important that you keep on learning and keep on, looking for new skills.
Yeah,
learn from
learning
one another
along
and
the
all
job
this.
is part of this.
Right.
Constantly keeping yourself updated is part of this. So I'm always going through social media. I'm looking through other friends' toys, other makers. I'm looking at what the toy blogs are talking about. And in particular, I keep an eye on what Disney is doing because they seem to be leading on a lot of things, especially in terms of experiential design. And in the LA stores, they've got merchandise unique to them. The Florida one has unique to them. And it's just so much fun to see what they can come up with. So it's so much fun to look at all this.
Do you actually deliberately have such you know how people have like cafe hops and everything and you just go to like toy store hops?
I do. So when I was recently in Tokyo, I was actually there for Wonderfest, going to look at all these toys and prototypes and model kits. And to be honest, it was overwhelming. I do not recommend this for noobs because I was exhausted. Halfway through, I collapsed and just sat down somewhere because I couldn't do it anymore. But I saw so many things and it was utterly mind-blowing and there weren't enough photos I could take all the things I was looking at. But that aside, I mean, every time I was wandering around the different districts, I'd be like, oh, there seems to be a toy store around here. I'll just pop in and have a look. Oh no, I bought something.
That's like a kid's dream.
It is.
Yeah, that's my job, to go around toy stores
Looking
to
at
buy
toys,
stuff.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's not even maybe just buying. I just like to examine what's trending now,
Yeah.
what are people making, and what do people think will sell now.
So it seems to be fairly well traveled in that sense, right?
yes.
So is that something that you actually encourage your freelancers to do as well, in
I
the sense
w-
like opening their horizons?
I
and
would
things like that?
entirely encourage them to travel as much as their budget allows them to travel. Because you do need to see what's going on outside to be able to make, in my opinion anyway, to make a difference. I think you should see what's going on outside. If you're stuck here, it's true, we do get a lot of international product, but it's still different because, well, I guess it's also partly the culture here and the mindset, but you just see more when you go outside where the rules are more easily broken. You see a lot more things. Like for me personally, what changed a lot for me was when I went to LA. I went to CTN, which is I think the Creative Talent Network, and that's in LA. It's Burbank. It's in Burbank.
Right.
And I was, well, how old was I? Maybe I was only 23 or 24. And I was still in the whole, I would like to work with animation, not as an animator, but with animation. And I attended the convention and there were so many artists selling their stuff. And I'm like, oh my god, there's so much personal artwork for sale. And it's so different because they don't really do fan art. You see a lot of fan art here.
Yeah.
You see a lot of anime stuff here. And they were doing really their own thing, their own
Yeah.
comics, their own books, their own artwork, and it was really refreshing. And I came back with that mindset, and I found out that mindset doesn't work in Singapore. Whoops.
You try on something?
I did.
Was it the noodle?
No, not necessarily. No, it was the way I approached doing conventions in Singapore. I approached it with a foreign mindset.
Okay.
And as it turns out, I did do okay for that convention, but I also realized people like comfort zones here. They tend to like their fan art here. When you try to do original art, you can try. No one's saying you can't try.
Yeah.
Just saying that your mileage may vary.
But do you think that is what is holding the Singapore illustrator, back a bit by just, so-called, for lack of better word, right, doing what other has been done, but have not been attempting on a very original IP. That's why we don't see, original things coming out from Singapore.
Okay, no, there are original things coming out of Singapore, just not on a large scale. Because I do also attend this other illustration show held by OIC. And they have their little show over in, where is it? LaSalle on the Green. And gosh, so much original work. So much original work. The Illustrator Art Fest, so much original work there. So many great illustrators. And suddenly you realize, hey, Singaporeans actually quite a few artists here. Huh?
Yeah.
And they are doing really well, actually. They've got great work going on. They are doing this as a side thing, but their full-time gig, they are artists. You just don't really hear about them because they're quietly keeping their heads down, or they're busy earning a living like me. So, no, I would say the original art side, they do exist. They're just not very loud about it sometimes. But they're there, quietly.
But do you think there should be more to actually help them to promote it so that more people know?
Yeah, what do you
about
think
this
can be
trade?
done about it?
I suppose we do our usual social media things and all that. But there's only so much you can do also because it's a culture. You can't just change the culture of
Yeah, it's
Singapore.
also who's buying it, right?
It's also who's buying, right?
If you're just trying
The
to keep to within
no,
your
but that's the
circle,
thing. The people who come to our shows are serious about buying. Unlike STGCC, where they go to browse, the people who come to this particular show are pretty serious about spending some money on us. They're not just, okay, kids, you look at the nice work, the auntie, okay, time to go home. No, ours are people like, I want to buy this, I want to buy this. So it's nice, it's slightly different.
So what kind of profiles are these people? I'm also quite...
Weird. They're all weird people. You have to be a little bit weird to survive in this industry. So they're all a little bit weird. All the artwork they do is a little bit weird.
But the buyers...
The buyers are interesting because some of my buyers have been elderly aunties.
Really?
Who you just wonder, it's like, what do you see in the work? But okay, auntie, it's great that you love my work.
Yeah, just let me
I'll
keep
just
your
take the money,
first.
thank you. Here's the object that you like, auntie. But yes.
So how big is your fan club now?
Oh gosh, I guess it's growing. It's a growing
Okay.
fan club.
Okay.
I noticed that I have more fans in the UK and in the US for some reason.
Okay.
And this is based on Google Analytics because
course.
I've been tracking all that. But I do have some very loyal Singaporean fans. Thank you, all of you. The only thing is that sometimes when I'm overwhelmed at the convention, I can't recognize everyone. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
There are just too many faces, and then my recognition just breaks, and I'm like, who are you? I think I know you.
Everyone is the
Yeah,
same,
everyone
right?
looks the same. I know. And I'm like, I should know you, but I'm so sorry, I forgot.
But so do they buy as well? Those fans from overseas?
They
Are
do.
buying?
I actually have a fan in Ireland, of all places, who usually buys one of each of my new releases.
Oh, nice.
So it's very flattering, but at the same time, it's like, Ireland, okay, cool.
Like why?
Yeah, who are you? But at the same time, thank you so much for supporting my work,
So how long do you see yourself doing this, or where do you see yourself in the next 5 years?
Oh gosh. Well, I want to keep doing this because I like the freedom of movement. As I realized, I really don't like being stuck in a physical location 9 to 5.
Yeah.
I do like being able to decide where I want to work and for how long I'm going to work.
Yeah.
So some people say it's like, oh, that means you don't want to work long hours. And I say, no, I'm willing to work long hours. I'll work 3 in the morning, but I'll do it in the comfort of my room. Thank you very much.
That's true.
Yeah.
Like at least I can change into my
And
pajamas.
I can roll into bed when I'm done. Thank you very much.
But do you see yourself making more of your own merchandise?
I would love to be making more of my own merchandise. I would love to also work on merchandise for big companies.
Yeah, so which do you think is better?
Which one do you
which
think
one
is
do you
better?
no? Because I'm very curious. Because I grew up wanting to become an artist as well. Same. I'm terrible at it.
Okay.
But the ambition, the dream was always to work for one of these big companies, Disney.
Oh,
it's
the dream.
Yeah, I'll be designing characters for them, and then I'll be inside one of their range and everything. But at the same time, like you said, there's this own thrill of coming up with your own character and owning it completely. So which one do you
I want
prefer?
to own my stuff. I feel a greater sense of fulfillment owning my stuff. But at the same time, I mean, this is the part with the balance things.
Yep.
If you can own your stuff and make lots of money from that, that's all the better to you. Power to you, honestly, really. But most of us, we need to balance it out. We need some kind of commercial work along the way.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, and do I honestly want to go all the way with my own stuff? Yes. But I will probably miss an aspect of the commercial work as well. Because that's also fun. There's an aspect of fun to that as well, It's like they say, hey, we're going to work on the latest Star Wars film. We are. That's fun. It's like new Disney film. We're going to work on it. We are. Yeah, that's also fun.
So in a sense, it's like that fangirl coming
Yes,
out.
yes, it's a little bit of the fangirlness coming out. Or even like, there's a project I was going to work on with Blizzard, actually, when I was with a toy company. It didn't go through, but I did do some designs. But gosh, that was exciting. I was working with, I think, Overwatch. I was like, oh, this is great. I get to work with Overwatch design. This is cool. So, that's always fun. So I do enjoy those moments of, oh, this is really fun. It's not my personal work, but this is really fun.
But it seems like a lot of things, as an illustrator, we always thought that, as a character designers and things like that, you always seems to be working alone. But is that true, that you're always working alone?
I work alone at home, but collaboratively, I do have to email people. I do have to go for meetings. So that part, not really alone. That part is really not very alone. I mean, I'm very comfortable working in isolation, partly because even when I worked outside for other people, I would find a corner of the office. I personally like working quietly alone in my own little corner, away from distractions. Like if I'm going to be distracted, I'll allow the YouTube distractions. That's on me. But I don't like other people barging in on me saying, hey, we have to go for a meeting now. And I'm like, please, I'm in the middle of thinking.
Yeah.
Please do not come in and talk to me. I'm trying to solve this.
Right.
So what's your process as a character designer? Like when you receive a brief, what does it usually say? Like, I need this for a convention. I need this for...
Oh, well, okay, it really depends. Usually it's, hi, I saw your work on such and such a place. We really like it. We would like you to work on this project with us. Here's the thing. We want it for this particular thing. And many, many things sometimes.
Okay.
But because sometimes it's NDA, but usually it's like they'll give me some parameters to follow, and sometimes I need to ask follow-up questions to narrow it down.
Okay.
And then I will normally give a suggested quotation based on what I've heard so far. And if they agree, then great. Let's start with some preliminary designs, and then we'll go along the way. I guess it varies from client to client. Sometimes I do take 50% upfront and the rest later. Okay. Sometimes I take everything later. But it depends on the trust level, of course, of my clients and the way they also choose to pay me.
Yeah.
So one thing that is always at the mind of our freelancers, right, especially when they receive the first briefs, is how do you price yourself?
Oh
So
gosh.
can you still remember how you actually price yourself when
Oh
you
gosh,
first get
it's
the
a lot of
first
trial
brief?
and error. A lot of it is trial and error. Oh my gosh, there's always thinking, am I pricing myself too high? Is it too low?
Yeah.
How many hours is this actually going to take me? And then sometimes when you actually start doing the work, you go, this is actually much harder than I thought. I should charge more. What was I thinking?
That's right. I think that's usually what happens.
Yes. But I would say that over time, I have gotten better at having an idea of how long it takes for me to come up with something and how much effort it may actually take. But sometimes I also want to tell people, just because it didn't take me very long to do this doesn't mean it was worth less.
Yeah.
You know,
That's right.
I solved your problem faster. Can you just pay me the amount that I?
So after a while, it's also like your client won't be able to find your skill set anywhere else.
I
And
would
that's
like
more
to keep it
value.
that way.
Yeah.
I would like to keep it that way. I would like to offer a unique skill set and point of view that cannot be offered by too many other people. I'm sure there must be other people, it's not possible, but too many other people. And hopefully I become their preferred artist to go to for this kind of work.
Because sometimes it's also how well you can, I wouldn't say read their minds, but it's how well you understand what they want, like
Which is
within like a
tricky.
15-minute
Which is
brief.
can be tricky.
You'll find out 2 weeks later.
Yeah. Because, it's one thing to be a good designer, but, even a good designer, you don't necessarily, you can't necessarily hit what they want also. Because sometimes what they want is a nuanced feeling or whatever, and you're drawing a drawing, but you can't seem to hit that feeling.
Yeah.
It's not your fault. That feeling is a hard one.
Yeah.
So how do you try to overcome situations like this or challenges
Oh,
like this
gosh,
if you
well,
really, really have a mental block? I mean, have you ever
So far,
encountered
sometimes
before?
there are times when the design doesn't seem to be going anywhere, and then you have to ask more questions really in relation to what you're doing. Like, do you want this cute and friendly? Who's the audience basically, and what do you want to do with this design? Are you planning to make merchandise, or is this just a standalone design? I mean, where do you want to go with this? So the more information they give me, the easier it is for me to kind of come up with a solution for them and think about a long-term plan for them.
Right.
Like if say they want a character and it's a mascot and they want to go to merchandise, then we talk about, okay, so when you talk about merchandise, t-shirts, do you want to do enamel pins? I mean, what do you want to do? Because now this will determine how easy this design is going to look.
Right.
Because you need,
how
something.
intricate it's
Well, that's the
gonna
thing. If it's going to be
Yeah.
merchandise, you can't have something too complicated.
Yeah.
You want it to be eye-catching. You want it to be appealing. Appealing is the one that's a bit tricky because appealing can be hard to teach sometimes. What is appealing?
Yeah, that's true.
And if you want to turn into plush, well, it's got to be appealing, right? You can't have this ugly thing as a plush.
That's
So
true. Yes.
many factors to think about, and hopefully along the way we reach an agreement as to what is appealing for both of us. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what do you think about the future of freelancing for character designer in Singapore?
Well, I still say it's tricky because it's a niche place to be in. Sure, there are big companies that do hire character designers, like the previous companies I've mentioned. The only thing is you're competing on a global scale. You're not talking about Singapore anymore.
Yeah.
So now you've got to be fighting with everyone else for these jobs. And the consolation, I guess, is that even if you don't get the big jobs with the major companies, there are many other smaller places you can go to. Startups, for all the nonsense that comes with the startups sometimes. There are a lot of benefits sometimes to working with them because it's a fresh slate. So you get to, in a way, art direct certain things that are completely new.
You have a lot more.
You have a lot more autonomy. You get to say more and you get to make more decisions artistically.
Do you think those are actually harder? The fact that guidelines are the guidelines easy to follow, basically.
Yes and no. I mean, okay, so I don't like rules very much,
Yeah.
but guidelines sometimes really help narrow things down. Because, sometimes if you are completely without rules, you just and goodness knows where you end up. So the guidelines sometimes are good for keeping you grounded and letting you know you got to keep within these regulations. But within this section, okay, off you go,
I guess it's also because they have a brand. to keep
The brand thing, they have to keep it as it is. You
Yeah.
cannot alter that. Nose is off by one bit, they know.
Yeah.
They know. No, it's true, they know. I've done this with them. Yeah.
You just try putting it like 2 pixels.
No, because sometimes you just put it in and to you it looks correct. But when you send it to them, they will go, actually, no, it is 2 pixels off. And you're like, oh, okay, sorry about that. I'll fix that for you.
Right. Yeah. Thank you so much for all the sharing.
You're
we
welcome.
just have one last question for
dear.
you, which is a question that we ask all our guests
Uh-huh.
to the podcast, is that if you could give one piece of advice to your younger self, what would that be?
I guess work hard, don't worry so much, and please get enough sleep. You used to think you could go without sleep, but that was all a lie. You actually need to get some sleep.
But don't you think that it was the lack of the sleep where you were working a bit harder, you're trying things out that got you to where you
Not
were?
necessarily. One must also learn to work well. You can't produce good stuff when you're exhausted.
That's true, especially creative.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. That's the thing. It's like at some point you gotta realize it's 3 a.m. It's not working. I need to sleep. I'll try again tomorrow morning, and allowing yourself to do that. Because sometimes as young ones we beat ourselves up. Oh, I'm not hardworking enough. My friends slept at 5 in the morning. It's like better than me, and I'm like, no, that's not how you gauge better. Just because your friend slept at 5 in the morning does not make your friend better. That's not how any of this works. Okay.
Isn't it weird, like how, when we were younger, as kids, we would go like, hey, I slept at 5:30.
That's nothing. I slept at 6. That kind of bullshit. I'm like, excuse me, this is unacceptable.
I clap for you. Very good.
I guess another thing that was important for younger me, I should probably go and exercise more. Most artists think, I'm just an artist, I don't need to exercise. No, you need to exercise. You need some of the sun, you need to go and stretch, you need to go and walk, because you're in this for the long run.
Yeah. Yeah.
You should keep yourself fit, you should eat well, you should sleep well,
Should know
and
how to
take care of
your
yourself,
body,
because
basically.
too many friends have carpal tunnel, and that's no fun. And that's not so much from lack of exercise, but that's from a lack of, you're gonna
Just moving.
yeah. And drawing for too many hours. I mean, they say, oh, that's dedication. I'm like, no, that's carpal tunnel.
Yeah, that's true. That's how musicians have their careers
I'm not,
destroyed.
exactly. I'm not saying you don't practice your 8 hours. I'm saying you need to take a break in between that. You're gonna ruin something if you keep doing that.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah,
These are the potential work hazards
Exactly,
that illustrators should take
exactly.
Yeah.
But when you're young, you think it doesn't matter. I'm invincible.
Yep.
I'm like, oh,
Yep,
I'm
definitely.
invincible.
Fine. Oh, the pain. Oh, yes.
That's actually something breaking.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
you're
Yeah,
welcome.
there's so many other questions.
Yes.
I'm sure that a lot of people want to ask. Well, where can we find your work, by the way?
Oh
Where
gosh,
can
I'm
we find
online. I'm online, I
Yeah,
guess.
okay.
Oh no, how do I do this? If I'm online.
you? Put here. This is what YouTube is for.
Oh, okay. We'll put up the link to find me somewhere up here at some point.
Right, all right. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Freelance Creative Exchange.
If you have enjoyed this episode, do click on the like button and give us a comment below. You can ask us or Sarah any questions, and you can also find the links to her profiles and her online shop there as well.
Subscribe and hit the bell so you won't miss out on our next episode.
Till then, see you.
Bye.